Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my second annual center channel speaker shootout. We've got 5 center channel speakers here again on the table. They're all ready to go to battle. I didn't plan this out as an annual thing, but as it is, here we are annually discussing these speakers. Okay? So, for today's video, I'm going to go with a little bit of different formula. We're going to very briefly go over the exterior of each speaker as tradition is. And then I'm going to get into 3 main questions. Okay, the first question is, does it do the job of a center speaker well? Meaning, if I put this speaker on with put this speaker up with a movie, am I going to understand the words? Am I going to understand or hear the content in a clear way? Is it useful as a center channel speaker? Okay, that's a very simple question, but I think that that's one question that people would like to have answered before they take one home. The second question is, does it sound good as a surround sound system? Meaning, does it sound good when it's hooked up with the rest of the speakers? Is it a good system? Okay, I think that's a very basic question that a lot of people would have before they buy a home theater system. I can answer that question for 3 of these. In fact, I can answer the question for 4 of these because I happen to know for a fact that the reference speakers are good. Okay, so we'll get into that. Does it sound, or how well does it compare with other speakers? How well does it compare with speakers similarly priced? You want to make sure you're getting the most for your dollar. You want to make sure you're getting the best at that price category. I get it. I do the same thing. Okay, and how much does it? How well does it compare against a more expensive speaker? The law of diminishing returns is a very real thing in the audio world. I mean, you would not, you would believe how much money people will waste chasing marginal improvements. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. All right, so exterior of each speaker. We're going to do this briefly. I've already done an unboxing video for everything on the table except for the Elac reference, which which featured in my last year's center channel video. So maybe if you have any further questions beyond today, check that video out. For the rest of them, if you have any questions about the physical appearance of them, go ahead and check out those unboxing videos. They should be thorough enough to show you what it is you want to see. So for the Pioneer, again, very brief here. Beautiful curved cabinet, gold binding post, dual rear ports, 4-inch woofers with the 1-inch tweeter. It's a very nice little speaker. It comes with these cool little feet, little rubber pads, so you can angle the speaker however you see fit using the angle of the curved cabinet in the actual curved feet. I think that's kind of neat. I think that's an important thing. I think that the rest of the speakers on the table fell a little bit short in the idea that they probably should have provided at least some kind of little angled feet to make sure that if the speaker's sitting too low, you can point it up a little bit. That seems like basics to me, but hey, I don't run a big company. I'm not rich. I don't know money. I don't understand money at all, in fact. So there you go. There you have it. Okay, so great little feet. Moving right along to the Elac. First thing I want to point out is that it actually does not have rubber feet on the bottom as the bookshelf speakers do have, which is very disappointing because it's probably more important, in fact, that the center channel comes with rubber feet on the bottom. If they've deemed the bookshelf speakers worthy of rubber feet, they very much on the same line of questioning should have deemed the center channel worthy of rubber feet. So that conversation must have never come up. Unless I got one that doesn't have rubber feet for some reason or another, but it doesn't have rubber feet, which is kind of weird. So sorry to get stuck on that. And I apologize if you hear me cough. We're just getting over several rounds of being sick through my family here. So dual rear ports, gold binding posts, same ones as the reference series, very nice. Dual 4-inch woofers with the 1-inch tweeter and the grill cover that you can take off if you want. I have a video on that. Check it out if you're curious. I should mention both covers for both of these 2 speakers. If you pull them off, you will get more trouble. You'll get maximum enjoyment with the grills off with these particular speakers. If you have any questions about these, please just put it in the comments. It seems to be a big thing nowadays. Put it in the comments. Leave a comment. Everyone wants you to leave a comment. Don't waste your time leaving a comment unless you have a very legitimate question. Your life is too short to be commenting on every video. Okay, so moving right along very briefly, we'll keep going down the line here. The Elac reference, very beautiful gold binding posts. It's got the brown wood vinyl wrap. It's got this weird black face plate. It's the only one with front ports, which is nice so that you can avoid any sort of issues with your setup. It's got the nice magnetic grill, which I really like because I do like to take my grills off on weekends and stuff because it's just fun. It's fun. Why not? Life is short. It's fun. Let's do it. 5-inch, 5 1/4 inch woofers, I believe. Different grill, grill over the tweeter here. That one's definitely not going to come off. I don't see any reason why that should come off. It's an improved design. It looks improved. It sounds improved. It's not coming off. All right. But if you do, I do pull off the BS41 and now the CS41. I will pull those off. Okay. If you have any questions about this guy, again, let me know. But there you go. All right, Sony plastic binding posts, not the gold fancy ones, but ironically, they hold a little bit better than the gold ones do. I don't know why or how. They're good at what they do. Okay, single rear port, smaller, sleeker design with a matte finish versus the fake wood vinyl wraps on the rest of them, and I really appreciate the matte finish. I hate things that are trying to be something they're not. Sony is not trying to be anything it is not, and I appreciate that. Okay, it looks beautiful. It's discreet. When it's up in your system, you hardly see it. It almost disappears. It's a ninja of speakers. Okay, little tiny 4-inch woofers again, 1-inch tweeter, well built. If you have any more questions, again, ask me. Polk. Back to the fake vinyl wraps look. It's got this horrible, terrible, terrible grill. Ugh, I hate this grill. Look at this. It's so dumb. It doesn't come out. It doesn't go on well. It's curved for some reason, even though everything else on the speaker is flat. It's got the same, what I consider to be less than ideal grill with all the plastic going on there. You take those off, you do get a little bit different sound out of them. The Sony, that's not an issue. Sony's grill is more transparent. I like that Sony. I like the grill. The Polk single rear port, plastic binding posts, by far the worst binding posts of them all, and they're too close together. That is very annoying. It's got this really poorly thought out faceplate stamped on the front here that the gaps are just terrible and uneven all around the sides. Got the 5-inch woofers, got the 1-inch tweeters. If you have any questions about this thing, go ahead and let me know. All right, so let's start with the most important question, and that is, does it do the job of a center channel speaker? So you might already own some bookshelf speakers, and you might be considering buying the center channel for them. You might not own any speakers. You might be considering buying a home theater. Maybe you want to buy a home theater, or maybe you want to buy two channel speakers, but you want to take into consideration the center channel for future purchasing. Okay, that's highly recommended that you take that approach, by the way. But you're going to have the question, it will come up, does it do the job of a center channel speaker? Now, it seems like a given. It probably should, right? It costs you a bunch of money. It should do a phenomenal job. But unfortunately, we live in a world where your money isn't always valued by the people who are taking it. Okay, so, but I am happy to report that on this table, that these speakers all do a phenomenal job. Okay, there isn't a speaker on this table that I would recommend against, really, for any particular reason. All right, so there you have it. There's that. Okay, that's a very, very simple breakdown, but that's the reality of the situation. Second question. Does it sound good as a system with the matching speakers? So I have the full 5-channel setup of the Pioneers, of the little boy Elacs, and of the Sonys. Yeah, they all sound really good. Yeah, they do. I know the big question here is going to be, does the Sony match with the larger woofer bookshelf speakers? And yeah, it does. Sony knows what it's doing. They didn't screw up. They didn't make a mistake. They didn't miscalculate. This center channel speaker is phenomenal. It matches phenomenally, and it does a phenomenal job. Okay? That's really the main concern, because the rest of them are all matching. In reference, you know, they have a bigger woofer, but we're not going to get into that. But as far as I can attest, the Sonys, the Pioneers, and the Elac little boys, they all are great systems that the center channels all blend very well with them. We'll find out with the Polks in the future, and maybe someday along the lines when I feel like shelling out $700 for a pair of marginally improved bookshelf speakers. We'll find out with the references. Okay. And then, you know, how well does it compare with similarly priced ones? I mean, how well do they compare against each other? And then how well do they compare to the more expensive Elac? As far as how well they compare against one another, you'll kind of get that vibe throughout the video. But if I wanted to give a more direct answer to that, I would say that they compare very competitively against one another. I can hear the differences between them, but they all do a good job. Okay, we're going to move into strengths and weaknesses. Okay, and I think that this is going to be a potentially more beneficial section than the rest. And if you give me just a quick minute, I do have to turn off this laptop that's making this horrible noise. Sorry about that. My laptop was running in the background, and I just can't stand the noise of that fan. You'll probably hear it in the video. Whatever. Okay, so we're going to move on to strengths and weaknesses. So, strengths of the Pioneer. Very natural sounds, very natural vocals, both male and female, very lifelike. Okay, very good sound dispersion. All right, you have to remember 12 years ago, this home theater system was a milestone in affordable home audio, and it's still competitive today. It is a very, very good accomplishment. You will enjoy it. Okay, it's just a matter of how much. All right, so it's great. It's bright. It borders on bright. Okay, it walks the fine line between bright and bright treble and good treble very, very, very carefully. It's right on the line. It's beautiful. I love the curved cabinet. I love the components. The woofer drivers are amazing quality. The tweeter could potentially be upgraded. The cabinet could use some bracing. The components, the crossover components are fantastic. The binding posts are fantastic. So what I'm trying to say is you've got good bones here. You've got good parts. If you wanted to, you could make this into something really special. Okay, so great build quality all around. I love the build quality. Okay, so it's a fantastic little speaker. The cons: the lack of detail in the treble region, separation, and I went into that a little bit in the bookshelf speaker review, where this was also featured as a bookshelf speaker, because I have two of them and I use them as bookshelf speakers. The clarity, the separation of the treble. I want to give you an example where you can find that and really understand what it is I'm saying, and that's going to be in Jurassic Park, first movie. Alan Grant, he's got a trailer. He's out there digging up bones, blah, blah, blah. Helicopter comes, lands, blows dust all over their bones. You've probably seen it. John Hammond's in his trailer, helped himself into the trailer, helped himself into the refrigerator, helped himself to the bottle of champagne in the refrigerator. Alan Grant comes in, catches him popping the cork on his champagne. He's pretty pissed off. Eventually he gets to the point where he pours a bottle of the champagne. When he pours the bottle of champagne, the bubble sounds are somewhat exaggerated. They're pretty pronounced. They really wanted you to understand that this man is enjoying a bottle of glass of champagne. When you listen to it on the Pioneer, you know it's champagne because you see the champagne. You hear it. It sounds like champagne. If you were to close your eyes, you could be forgiven for not understanding that it is champagne bubbles. It almost comes off as almost kind of pink noise-ish. All right? And this kind of hurts to say because I have a love affair with these speakers, but I'm keeping it real, you know? Almost comes off as pink noises. You listen to that scene on the rest of these speakers and the bubbles are defined, clear, and you close your eyes and you know you're listening to champagne bubbles. There's no question about that. So there's a con to the Pioneer, okay? And under the right circumstances at higher volumes with the right content, you can get a resonance in this. I think bracing, you know, obviously it's a big extended BS22. it could probably use a brace. It's several pieces of bracing inside, and maybe, you know, some more foam. But that's, you know, again, good bones if you want to upgrade it. Pros and cons of the Pioneer, there you have it. Pros and cons. Oh, for some reason I got the Polk up next. Pros and cons of the Polk. Pros: detail extraction is well executed. All right, there's nothing about this speaker that's exceptional. Everything is just well enough. All right, which is well enough. Voices are easy to understand. It's well balanced. It's surprising, and it's a solid performer. And the reason I say surprising is that the T130 has got a lot of bad reviews. And I want to touch base on that right now real quick. And this speaker took a long time to break in. I think it took me over 2 weeks of listening to the speaker all day, almost all day, to get it to the point where it sounded good. Okay, and it was an immaculate difference. Out of the box, this is absolutely a horrible sounding speaker. It's so bad. It's as bad as some of the audio reviewers have made the T10 speakers out to seem. Out of the box, you hook it up, you let it play, it breaks in. It takes a long time, okay, but it breaks in. Once it's broken in, it's an entirely different beast. All right, it's a comparable speaker. It's a good speaker. Okay, leads me to believe that some of the audio reviewers aren't giving their speakers enough time to break in. Okay, and they're throwing them up and they're giving a review on things that aren't in a reviewable state, which is really disappointing. I do intend on going down that rabbit hole a little bit further. I'm going to pick up a set of the T10 speakers. I'm going to break the hell out of them in. Break them in. I'm going to break them in. All right, and then I'm going to give you a good review on them, okay? Because I want to get to the bottom of this discrepancy between the consumers and the reviewers. I know the reviewers, they have a lot of stuff to review and they have very limited time. I find it impossible to believe that they would actually take the time to break in a speaker for over a week or even 2 weeks in order to give it a fair review. So I suspect that there's something going on there. We're going to find out more later. So I guess I'd put that as a con. It takes a significant amount of break-in time to get this speaker to perform at its best. But once it's there, it's good. Okay, it's good. It's not exceptional, but it's good. It's not bad. All right. And it's very, very efficient. It's ridiculously efficient. I don't think there's a receiver in this world, 5-channel receiver in this world, that would require this level of efficiency. It's ridiculously efficient. Okay. And it's got great sound pressure levels because of the larger woofers. Okay, 25% larger woofers is probably about 25% better sound pressure levels as far as just getting it out in the room, filling the room with sound, good clear sound. It's got great sound pressure level. The cons: it's less exciting than the others. All right, it doesn't have anything about it that's exciting. It doesn't have anything about it that's stellar. It doesn't have anything about it that's magnificent. Okay, it is what it is. Okay. Not so great build quality. Everything about it's kind of cheap. Everything, I opened it up, everything inside's cheaper than the rest of them. This speaker costs about half as much at full price currently as this speaker, and the build quality is infinitely better. Okay, now the sum of the parts, that's another story. Okay, pulled that off very well. I'm sure that they're making a good buck off these, and maybe rightfully so, because they did something right here, because it's a decent speaker. All right, and you wouldn't know it by looking at it. All right, so yeah, other than that, it's just it's not a spectacular, but it's not a bad speaker. All right, pros of the Sony: very clear, very to understand, very easy to understand, very forward projection, almost nostalgic style theater sound. It doesn't sound as much as a silk dome tweeter as you would think. It's walking that fine line between sounding like a horn, like a theater horn speaker, and a home soft dome tweeter speaker, which for home theater purposes is fantastic. That's great. It's a very impressive performer. I mean, I can't overstate that enough. It's a very impressive performer. I know there's a lot of concerns about the 4-inch woofers versus the 5 and 1/4 inch woofers on the bookshelves. I can tell you right now, just forget about it. Don't even worry about that. Okay, Sony's not dumb. They did a fantastic job. This speaker matches up very well with the bookshelf speakers. As far as a center channel speaker goes, this is a great center channel speaker. It does everything it needs to do, and it does it well. Okay. Cons at the price, I can't come up with any. I really can't. You know, and the only way I could is if you put a knife up to my back and said, you better come up with something to complain about or I'm going to cut you. And then I would say, well, they could be a little bit more warm. Please don't stab me. That's it. Okay. The Elac, the CS41, the only one that registers as a large speaker. So room calibration, MCCAC on my Pioneer receiver calibrates this center channel speaker as a large speaker. And it sounds like a large speaker. It calibrates the BS41 bookshelves as large speakers. That's a very unique advantage. Okay, again, that's a big advantage. You don't need a subwoofer. That's a massive amount of savings. When you're talking about a $250 surround sound set, or, well, I guess that's sale price, you know, retail a little more, savings of 130 plus on a subwoofer is massive. And for most people, you don't need a subwoofer. Unless you already own a subwoofer and you really love that subwoofer. You set this up with a 5-channel system, run it as a full speaker. You won't miss that subwoofer. You won't feel the need to have a subwoofer, okay, unless you're a big bass guy, all right? That's a huge advantage. Natural vocals, great treble, laid back yet detailed experience, and very high quality for the price category. You know, I can't sing the praises enough about this center channel speaker. Elac reference, the pros, great detail, natural, well-balanced sound. The front port is really nice, avoids any sort of issues with your setup. Great sound pressure levels with the bigger woofers. Simply an amazing speaker. And as far as I'm concerned, it's perfect. You know, my expectations are reasonable for my home. And as far as I'm concerned, it's perfect. You know, maybe one day I'll feel differently, but for now, as far as I'm concerned, it's perfect. I plan on using it till I'm 6 feet under. I plan on using this, and hopefully then my daughter will take it after I'm gone, and it will still be working well enough that she'll use it, because it's a fantastic speaker. All right, and it costs a lot of money now. Yeah, now it does. So natural, well-balanced sound, strong sound pressure, I mentioned that, simply amazing. Cons, less than forward presence. So the cons comes into the price category. If this thing was priced anywhere near any of the rest of these, the cons would be none. But because it costs 3 times as much, I'm going to give it a con. And because it shouldn't be beat by anything on this table at any moment of any time, of any day, any place, anywhere for the price. But it does. Under the right circumstances, loud listening environments, specific types of content, or maybe your own ears, the Sony can outperform it. That's just absurd. That's just silly. The Sony can outperform it as far as a center channel's job and what it's meant to do, convey that information to your brain. The center channel Sony can outperform at times, rare, but at times can outperform the Elac reference. Okay? Really impressive. All right. I wish the grill was offered in black. That's pretty nitpicking. I wish the grill was black. I don't like the fact that the grill is gray, the face is black, and the speaker's brown. 3 colors on a speaker is too many. Maybe 1 too many, but definitely 1 too many. Okay, let's do a summary. All right, to summarize, I want to make sure that you understand the information I'm trying to give to you very well so that you can make a really educated decision in your life, okay? Or at least just be educated, okay? The Pioneers, we're going to do a summary here. Exciting, warm, natural, room-filling sound. They were a milestone on their day, and they're competitive still today, 12, 13 years later. That's the best description I can give for those. The Elac, summary, crisp, detailed, warm, very different experience because you can run them without the subwoofer. To give an example of that, there's a scene in Jurassic Park. And yes, I watched Jurassic Park once a day for 5 days straight so I could get a very accurate idea of the differences of these speakers. Okay, I sacrificed that for you. There's a scene in Jurassic Park where there's a dinosaur coming up from behind you. All right. You know, you hear them coming up from behind you with everything else. But when you're running this, especially because I ran it as it was recommended, I thought that would be fun. I did change it back to using a sub. I felt that there was very little benefit. But I did run it as the room calibration recommended. And it was kind of neat because you're getting so much bass now from different areas of the room that normally it would have come from one specific spot, that you can not only just hear the dinosaur coming up from behind you like you do on the other speakers, but you can feel that dinosaur. You could feel the vibrations coming up from behind you. There was a moment there. It was really awesome. I was really impressed. Okay. So very different experience. Just given the fact that its performance can work as a full channel speaker. It's compact. I love the size of the bookshelves, and I love the size of the center channel. You know, that's something I also like about the Sony as well. But so very different. Room filling, natural sound, very fantastic. So again, now we're going to get to the Sony. Very exciting, very aggressive, very engaging. It brings the theater to home theater. It almost has a borderline nostalgic style theater sound as it walks that fine line between a horn theater speaker and a home silk dome tweeter speaker. It walks that line very well. Very theater-like experience. Okay. I really like the grill. You know, this speaker is so discreet. I love it. You know, I love the grill. I love the look of it. It's like a ninja. You know, it's the best way to describe it. When it's up on my thing, I hardly see it. It's like it's invisible once it's put up. It's fantastic. The matte gray or the matte black, along with the very simple design. It's a great looking little speaker. Okay. I like seeing that thing up on there. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Elac reference. Great detail extraction, a natural and well-balanced sound. The front port adds some flexibility as far as placement goes. I really like that, especially for my setup. It's got very high build quality. As far as the summary for the Polk goes, it's not a outstanding performer in any perspective, but it also does not fall flat on its face as one might assume based on the reviews of the bookshelf speaker. It does everything well enough, especially after the extensively long break-in period. Okay, so overall, what did we learn here today? Well, we learned that the Pioneer is starting to show its age. You know, a milestone in engineering of affordable audio 12 years ago is hardly competitive today. All right, it's competitive, but it's not gonna, you know, it's not top tier. All right, so we learned that despite the poor reviews, the T30 is actually a very solid center channel speaker. All right, so I do intend on investigating that a little further and pick up a pair of the T10 bookshelf speakers, and I'll let you know what I find with that. But that after a break-in period, that the T30 is actually a very, very strong performer. Okay, we learned that the Elac CS41 and the Sony SSCS8 are both very good center channel speakers as well. The Sony SSCS8 does match up with its larger bookshelf speakers very well. It does the job fantastically. Whereas the Sony, the CS41 Elac, it matches the bookshelves perfectly. It does just as good of a job as you would assume it does. They're both excellent center channel speakers who both go about them in different ways. You might get a little more insight into that if you watch my bookshelf speaker review. As far as just how the differences between the two are. But you know, you've obviously warmer and colder, kind of a theory here, all right? And we learned that that you can run the Elac CS41 as a full channel, full range speaker set without having to have a subwoofer. But most importantly, what we learned here was that there's definitely the law of diminishing return is definitely apparent right here. So at just around $100, so just above or just below $100, these four speakers here are anywhere from 70 to 90% of the experience that you get from this almost $500 center channel speaker. At times, the Sony can be a better center channel speaker under the right circumstances. It can outperform the Elac reference center channel speaker. But I think that that's a big takeaway here. I think that the law of diminishing return is very strong. And I think that the cutoff is right after the $150 or so price category. I think the law of diminishing return is quite apparent. So something to consider there. Okay, so I apologize for the candid nature of this video. I did this under some somewhat strenuous circumstances. This was supposed to be done a week or two ago. We've been sick on and off. It's been tough to stay healthy lately. I don't know what's going on with things going around, but there you have it. If you have any questions about these videos or about these speakers in this video, feel free to let me know what those questions would be. And then thanks for sticking around, and thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was somewhat beneficial to you. And in the meantime, stay safe and take care. Thank you.